Welcome everyone to my latest Bandai to Machinations SH Figuarts review, as I have the latest Dragon Ball Z release with Mecha Frieza, and this is a very special release for many reasons, not only being another to Machinations web exclusive. This is for, of course, that very memorable scene with Trunks' debut. So after Goku defeated Frieza, it was rebuilt by King Cold, which we're also seeing later this year. And then along came another Super Saiyan who just destroyed this Mecha Frieza in one single blow. So it was a very iconic scene. And I guess it was a very brief moment, but it really demonstrated how powerful the Super Saiyan was. And it was kind of the shift in power from the Frieza saga to the Android saga. So I think this figure is going to be pretty exclusive and limited. I can't see them reissuing or re-updating this anytime soon. I guess they do that with the original Frieza. There's also the full power one coming out later this year. So looking at the packaging, of course, it is your standard DBZ line, a really well presented one once again, with the shot of Mecha Frieza at the front with the logos and stickers. And on the side we have the title once again. Despite being a medium box, I noticed that it's a lot thicker than usual, probably just due to the accessories. And then on the other side it wraps all the way around with some photos. And then at the back we have the Mecha Frieza in different poses, and despite this figure being promoted as one where Trunks can slice it in half, they haven't shown it on the box at all. I guess I'm not complaining, but it's just something I noticed. I guess you want to show the strengths of the character rather than his weakness. So inside we have the instructions on the box, and here is the Mecha Frieza inside this packaging. So here is a first look at the Mecha Frieza taken out of the packaging, of course with the tail attached on, as it was a separate piece in the box. So the first impressions, it is another accurate look to another Dragon Ball character in the line. And I guess by now, the one line that you can really rely on to Machinations to do well, it is for their Dragon Ball characters. Most of the time I'll say the accuracy is there. It kind of looks like what you see in anime. Of course, there's not always 100% likeness to it, but I guess most of the time they do well with it. You may have some complaints about the sizing. I'm not sure yet, because the King Cold promo photos, some people did say that he should be a lot bigger. But for Frieza, I guess this size looks about right. I've got to compare it with some of the other figures in the line to really know for sure. And you may have some complaints about the materials they use, the joints or the sculpts, or even the accessories included. But one thing you can never complain about, at least most of the time for me, is kind of the look of the character. So it kind of uses the basis of the Frieza armor with the whites and the purples. And of course we have kind of him rebuilt in different kind of looks, to the head sculpt, to the chest, to the left arm, and then of course to the legs. So it's a really detailed figure despite its size, and it's one that I really like. Of course you can see that it has the green bulbs and then the silver colors, the browns, and then it's the same for the arms, kind of using the same materials. And you can see the different paints as well to really make certain parts stand out. And looking at the back as well, you can see the whole tail is made in this kind of silver color. So they haven't used any kind of shine, chrome, or any metal die cast for these parts, which is fine with me, because for anime I guess this kind of works anyways. So in terms of the size, I guess we need to kind of bring in other characters. One I have is the fourth form Frieza, and you can see that they are pretty similar. Of course the Mecha Frieza is slightly more bulky and it is taller than the original Frieza. And then the other character I want to bring in is another small one, and that is Krillin. And you can also see that Mecha Frieza is slightly taller than the character. And then one that you're probably most common and familiar with is a Super Saiyan Goku, which of course is going to be taller as expected. And the other one is Trunks in the base form, which of course he will turn Super Saiyan as the video goes on for that iconic scene. So stay tuned for that. So that's kind of the first impressions of the Mecha Frieza, which I do like. And it is a pretty sturdy figure to stand as well, despite the tail. And now we can move on to the articulation. So now let's test out the articulation, starting off with the movement of the head sculpt. So for Mecha Frieza, you can move it left and right, no problems. And it has a good rotation, 360. And there are parts on his head that are sticking out, but it doesn't really limit it. You can move it left and right, no problems. and then upwards motion not so much, but there is a lot of movement downwards, and there's good rotation around the neck as well. And then for the arms, you can see they move side to side. There are these two shoulder pads which do have slight movement, so just be careful, otherwise you will detach them. So you can move them, of course, forwards and then backwards like this, and there's good rotation to go upwards, and then there's outwards motion for the arms, and then you can move them inwards. Then for the forearm, there is a rotation around the biceps, and there's also rotation for the lower half of the arms as well, which is really good. And then of course there's rotation for the hands, and there should be a hinge as expected. And then for the body, so this is a small figure, so there might be some limitations. So for the upper torso, you can twist it side to side, there's rotation, left and right, of course. It's very little, but you can see some sort of movement. And then for the waist, of course, backwards, and then forwards crunch, and there's also a waist swivel. And then for the legs, of course, forwards and backwards, there's rotation kind of side to side like this, and as expected you can kind of pull the leg down if you want, and there's a good knee bend as well. And then there's also rotation on the foot, and there's hinges to go downwards, upwards and side to side. And then of course finally we have the tail. So it was a separate piece, and you can rotate it in two parts, which is good. So that's the movement of the Mecha Frieza. And now we can take a look at the accessories. And now we can take a look at the different accessories, starting off with the alternative hands. So the one right out of the packaging is the standard closed fists. So for the first set of alternative hands, we have a pair of grappler hands. We also get a set of open blaster hands, which should be standard for Frieza. And for the fourth and final set of hands, we have a pair of pointing of the fingers. The next accessory is the head sculpt. So this is the standard look of Frieza with a grinning expression. So for the alternative head sculpts, you can see we do have different expressions, but notice there are two missing pieces on the head. So you do actually need to remove it from the original one. And I'm not too sure why. Maybe it's just saving off the plastic and you can't just use another Frieza figure for this head sculpt. I can't really explain why they've done this. It would have been more convenient if we just had a full head sculpt, but it is what it is. So we're going to switch these out for the alternative ones. So here is the first alternative head sculpt, which is another smiling look for Frieza, this time showing off the teeth. For the third alternative head sculpt, we have another one showing off the teeth. This is more of an angry face to be used in the in-battle scenes. And for the fourth and final head sculpt, we have the full-on angry mode, or more of the concerned look when he faces Super Saiyan Trunks. And this is probably my favorite one. And now for the accessory I've been waiting for, which of course is Mecha Frieza being sliced in half. And it's not exactly a second figure. As you can see, you do need to place the arms, legs and tail on as well. But it does kind of act as a add-on accessory, and this is pretty cool, pretty detailed. I do like the look of it. You can see the line through the head sculpt all the way to the body, and then on the back as well you can kind of see the slice at the back. And it does include this transparent stand because when that scene happens it is in the air, so it's nice they've included one. So in terms of the detail of Mecha Frieza, I do like it. Obviously the paint apps aren't as detailed as the actual figure itself, which is understandable because this is kind of like an accessory. But I wish they included the full arms, legs and tail as well, so you can kind of use both of them. But I just didn't think that Tamashinations would be that generous and include that as well. So you can only use it one at a time. So let's switch out the arms, legs and tails onto this and take a closer look. And here is the look with the arms and legs as well as the tail attached on to the sliced body of Mecha Frieza to give it that look, and all you need now is the trunks. And now for the size comparisons, here it is next to the SE Figuarts full form Frieza and a Super Saiyan Trunks. Here it is next to an SE Figuarts Super Saiyan Goku and a Super Saiyan Vegeta. Here it is next to an SE Figuarts Krillin and a Super Saiyan Gohan. Next to a Marvel Legends Spider-Man and a Captain America. And next to the Jada Toys Ryu and Fei Long. And next to a Mafex Joker and Cyborg. So now for my final thoughts on the SE Figuarts Mecha Frieza. Without a doubt, this is one from the more iconic scenes in the pre-Android saga, which we saw the debut of Trunks. And this Mecha Frieza represents that with a great sculpt, plenty of hands and heads for those different looks. The standout is the accessory of the sliced body, which the lightness is perfectly captured, especially with Trunks in the scene. The only thing is you do need to replace the body parts, so you can't use this part as well as the figure at the same time, which is understandable. The other thing is, although it's not a huge issue, is the alternative head sculpts. You do need to switch out the parts, which there isn't really an explanation for this other than saving plastic. The overall look is a good one and one that fits nicely into the different characters in the collection, and with the arrival of King Cold later this year, it will make a great display together. So my score is an 8 out of 10. It is great for what it is, but the price is a bit high even though it's an exclusive. Hit the links in the description for more Dragon Ball SE Figuarts reviews. If you're interested in buying some SE Figuarts, you can try out my affiliate link in the description below. It's not a sponsored video, but it is a website directly from Japan, so you can give it a go, and of course it does help out the channel. Stay tuned to my SH Figuarts list of releases for this month, and see you next time. Thanks for watching.